Alright guys, welcome back to the second channel. I'm Steve, I'm one of the video editors here at High Peak Autos. So today we're going to give you a full extended look at the Shmuseum tour that we got when we shot Carchat back in the end of October last year. There was too many cars and too much footage to fit into the episode. So today you're going to see the full unedited version of that tour with Tim and Matt. So I hope you enjoy.
Bang, bang. Welcome. Good to see you.
Yes.
Thanks for coming by.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks for your time.
It's an absolute pleasure. Welcome to the Shmuseum.
Thank you. This is my first time here then.
It's colourful. It's a bit of an overload.
It is colourful, yeah. It is.
There's a lot going on.
I was just thinking the same thing.
A big variety of cars, a whole lot of memorabilia. You know, this was like my dream, right? To put together I want to say man cave, but also storing my cars, being able to film my videos, having everything in one place.
No, I get that. I understand that. I filmed with Mike Brewer recently and he called his I think Johnny Smith named it a cathedral.
Yes.
I thought that was quite,
exactly
that.
Cool. Exactly that. I visited a collector once before who called his place the same name. And it's this kind of thing is always very personal. You build it with your own interests, your own cars, your own stuff, right? So for me, there's no holding back. I love bright colours. You just look at the cars for about 5 seconds, you can tell that. We did the racetrack on the floor, we built offices.
It's a nice touch.
As well. The offices are supposed to be a bit like a grandstand.
Yes,
so like you're at Silverstone, you've got the pit box with the F1 show car, you've got all the advertising hoardings. It's like your hospitality box up there.
It's very cool, actually.
To look out over all this stuff, which I have to be completely honest, for me, it's still like a pinch.
Yeah.
Is this a dream? Is this really here?
Exactly. How long has this been sort of an idea in the making then?
Do you know, I was looking for the right place for a long time, probably 2 years looking for a venue, moved in about 3 years ago.
Okay.
After we had done all the, you can imagine, the security, the floor, so there was no concrete floor.
Oh, really?
This was a milking parlour.
Oh, was it?
So this was literally home to cattle.
Okay.
Hence we have our mascot, Shmee the cow.
Yeah,
a bit of a play on it. So once we'd done all the stuff you had to do to make it inhabitable, it's like, right, we need a break. So it took a bit of time off. And then last year we did all the painting, all the kind of prettiness, and got it to, you know, there's always something you can do. It's like modifying a car. Exactly. There's always something you want to change.
It's a never-ending thing, isn't it?
Yeah, but I love how it is now. You know, I like collecting things, and until having a space for it, at that point you're more like a hoarder, right? If you're just getting stuff and sticking it in a storage room, having it somewhere, you're hoarding.
It looks like you've got a problem then, doesn't it?
Yeah, when it's on display though, you're then a collector.
Yes.
So Lego cars, arcade machines,
swatches,
big swatches, the heritage gas pumps, like all sorts of cool stuff mixed in, you know, with the cars, everything from the 1.2 Clio to the supercars.
Yeah. Okay. Talk me through what you've got then. So
I should apologise a bit because quite a few cars are out for different things right now.
Okay.
It's the time of year where loads of cars are at service, a couple are in different countries for different events.
Right.
Stuff everywhere.
Okay.
What we have here
How many have you got in total then?
Just over 20 cars.
Right, okay.
It's a little bit out of hand, but it's all, you know what's really cool is the cars have been part of this storyline, right? Through my videos on the channel that I've shared over the years. Yeah. People have seen those cars go from being ordered, being spec'd, their first drives, first laps of the Nürburgring, road trips. So they build this whole
journey.
Characters,
aren't they, in this sort of show?
Exactly, exactly. So not only are they, you know, characters in the show, but they're also part of using this space. You know, when a car comes in and we're filming it, we'll see what you're going to be bringing in shortly.
Yes. Yeah.
It's all part of that, like, the familiarity.
Yeah, exactly.
The location. So
exactly.
We've got a couple of Ferraris here. We've got a few, you know, hot hatches, fun little cars. Some cars I use more for touring. A big mix.
And how often do you use them then?
Constantly.
Do you? Right, okay.
Constantly. I'm on road trips almost back to back. Haven't worked out for this year yet, but last year the fleet did something like 80,000 miles.
Did it really?
In total. So there's a lot of driving, a lot of traveling.
I mean, it's natural that you'll have your favourites, isn't it? But you try and use them all as
so
as frequently as you
I actually have a system for documenting everything.
Okay.
As you know, it's hard to remember what needs an MOT, what needs a service, what needs to be taxed, what needs this, that, and the other. Yeah. And I also have a column for when was it last driven. Okay. So I don't allow a car to get more than 2 months without being driven.
Right.
Because it's
cars don't like to be sitting.
Yeah, you know, take something like this hybrid Ferrari 296 GTS. If you don't drive that, it's going to start whinging at you. Yeah, like it just needs to be run through. The electronics, obviously all the different seals and everything. Yeah. That's too new, but on an older car, like the McLaren 675 LT, if I let that sit, stuff's going to go wrong.
Problems.
Seeping dampers, that kind of stuff. So you want to get
to be driven. Yes, yeah.
And, something like that with a complicated hydraulic suspension system, you need to just flick the switches, turn it between the different modes, keep it going as regularly as possible.
That's quite a big sort of rotation then, isn't it, with 21 cars?
Yeah. There's a lot of... It happens anyway organically because something will be going out for a video. We'll take a car somewhere to film. So obviously that keeps lots of things being updated regularly.
That's good.
And then the ones that aren't, obviously I go out of my way to take home and back. I don't have a daily driver. I always get asked, like, what's your daily? And it's like, I don't really have one.
Could be anything.
Yeah, it could be anything. It could be literally any car in here.
I mean, it sounds like quite a good problem to have, to be honest. But it can be, I imagine it's a bit of a headache at times.
The administrative effort.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, it's basically that every car has to go for a service every year. Then every car needs something else probably every year. So all of a sudden you've got 40 delership visits a year. So it's 3 or 4 a month
on expensive,
whatever you do. And if I go away for a month, the next month has 8.
Yes, exactly.
It's like, it's kind of, I have to block off days just for getting stuff done. Ticking off the boxes.
At a quick glance, it looks, to the untrained eye, it kind of looks like there's a lot of repetition here, but they're actually very different, aren't they?
So
there's a lot of...
I like different engines. I have a bias to V8s. I like different layouts, mid-engine, front mid. I like different types of cars. Where we're standing right now, we've got an American muscle car above a hot hatch, next to a supercar.
Exactly.
Next to a manual British brute. Next to all sorts of fun stuff, right? So for sure I have a bias towards the latest exotica, you could say. I like supercars. So, I've always been fascinated by performance, engineering, technology and the latest. So I do quite like the fast Ferraris, even though they might no longer have naturally aspirated engines. I like the kind of technology behind it and being able to use that and learn that. But then equally...
You like something as thuggish as a
trust me, you pull out the GT8, this thing has a naturally aspirated 4.7 V8. So it's the last of that generation. Manual gearbox. It's a confused car because it has carbon fiber body panels on something that's not very light. So you definitely don't want to damage it. But against that, 446 horsepower never felt so good. Like when you're flat out up towards the red line, it's incredible. It makes no sense because it's way too expensive for what it is. But titanium exhaust, love it. Absolutely love it. Like it's a proper thing. And it also, cars are about as well the journey, the memories. We all remember our first car, the stories behind it. My first, let's say, YouTube car was the V8 Vantage Roadster. That one.
And you bought that?
I bought it back, So I had it originally in 2010 to 2012. So the first time I ever spoke to a camera on a video was driving that car. That exact car. And then 9 years later, it found its way back to me. I've had it for a couple of years now. Spend way too much money on the maintenance. Probably one of my most expensive cars.
Is it really?
Not purely because I care so much. Little oil leak, let's fix it.
I'm with you.
Most people might just leave that, let it slide, especially because I only drive it a couple of hundred miles a year. But that's where
that's kind of here for sentimental value.
I don't feel bad if I don't do 1,000 miles in a year with it. So long as it does something.
I
features
understand
a little bit to justify itself.
No, I get that.
But we're kind of up in the memory corner. I'm gonna say. My first ever car was one of those. A 1.2 2005 Clio Dynamique. I'm sure you've seen a couple of them.
I've had plenty
in your time. 17-year-old, right? Going exploring the world for the first time. It's kind of funny story, sadly. My original car, obviously I had it from 2005 to 2008. But somewhere later down the line, 2020-ish, the car was involved in an accident. It got scrapped, got crushed. But I managed to find a scrapyard. I bought the lump of metal. So I own that lump of metal. No idea what I'm going to do with it. I had this vision of making a statue, putting it here like something funky, but it's a little bit more complicated than that. So I found...
you actually own the cube of metal that was your
actually
car.
Have it.
But that's the identical car.
That is one I found that's exactly the same to every option. Sunroof, same auto lights, wipers, same wheels, same interior trim, same everything. So I was like, do you know what? I quite like that almost reminder of where my car passion began, because it was with one of those. And when I bought this, I know it's relatively speaking significantly less expensive than some of the other stuff here, but I remember opening the door and being like, that smells the same.
Exactly. This is what I love. I love stuff like that, to be honest. I love those memories that you have with these older cars.
The first time you've gone and had to sleep in a car somewhere because you don't want to pay for a hotel when you're younger, that kind of stuff. You just remember it all.
All those memories come flooding back.
And over the last couple of years, obviously the flagship of that model Clio was the V6.
It's the V6,
So we've done this whole project. We took this car, which it was in a sorry state. There was a mouse living in the back of it, hadn't been started for 8 years. Every single body panel was damaged. And we did a complete job of it. Obviously on the front, the paintwork and that kind of thing, and fixing all the broken lights and stuff.
Yeah.
But underneath the skin, new clutch, lightweight flywheel, suspension, brakes. It's such a dream to drive.
Right. And that's incredible, though.
People find it funny to explain, like, if you have a garage with supercars, why would you want to take something like this out? But this is so nice to drive. The way it revs, the way it feels.
I get that.
250 odd horsepower. It's usable.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, it's perfect. It's a whole lot of fun.
Yeah.
So we've started doing something a little bit similar with the 1M.
Okay.
So after my Clio, my second car that I had here, I actually bought a car briefly abroad.
Okay.
My second car that I had here was a 123D.
123D, I remember.
I'm sure you've had some of those come through as well. And again, this was the flagship. So doing similarly, we put a quaif diff on there. We've done wheels and tyres and stuff. A few more things to get done, but working on it, you know, early stages. But similar kind of story with
I was just reading the text on the reg, actually.
Yeah, I always like a nod. Every car has a nod to something.
It's a really nice touch, that,
So for example, here, the L6 stands for the Line 6 engine. Okay. Because you can't have I6 on a UK plate. And then NKN is the last three-letter designation from my original 1 Series.
Okay.
So it's the same with this. V6 FTA. FTA was the original designation of my Clio.
The first Clio, okay.
So I went with that, and I've done the same.
That plate, and obviously they're your initials. That was on your first car as well, was it?
Yep. So I had it when I was 17. Well, I had my original Clio when I was 17. September 17th was my birthday.
Okay, right.
It was my 17th birthday present from my parents. Was the number plate.
Right, okay.
Right,
no, that's
it sticks with you, right?
Yeah,
that kind of thing's been on so many cars since. But even all of the big cars, there's a reason. Like the 16 on the GT8 is because in 2016 the GT8 won the World Endurance Championship.
Right, okay. I should have known better than just to assume it was random.
No, everything has a story. 87 TB was the plate that I bought when I was a bit younger, and obviously has stuck around with cars since. Has luckily got that at the time before those kind of plates had gone quite as sky high as they have now. GT500, 67. First Shelby GT500 was 1967.
Right.
You knew that was coming.
I did know. I figured that one out.
But I love it. You know, there's never enough horsepower, just not enough traction for Shelby.
Yeah.
I like those kind of nods.
Yeah, no, I like that.
Heritage RS was the 50th anniversary tribute in 2018 to the original Escort Mark 1 from 1968.
Okay, yes.
I can go on. It gets
I love all this. I love all
Do you know what? This is the closest we have to the daily. It's not got a lot of miles on it. It's about 10,500, 6 years. I know it's next to nothing, but my commute is obviously not very far.
No, so you can...
I figured even if I commuted every single day of the year that I'm here in the UK, I would do 1,000 miles.
Right.
So factor in trying to shuffle between cars.
Yeah.
It's not a lot, but four-wheel drive when the weather's bad. I love bombing down the lanes.
Yeah, I bet.
So much fun.
Yeah.
Obviously, next up, 296. Had it for about a year now. Not a huge number of miles, 2,000 or so, but I have taken it to the Nürburgring. Okay. You know, I love going and driving these kinds of things in the ways that most people don't.
Wouldn't, yes, that's the thing.
To share those experiences, it's hard. Half the fun of owning them is to use them.
Yeah,
and a lot of these cars just get stuck in garages.
Exactly.
Yeah. So obviously that's a big one. The colour of this is quite an unusual one. It's slightly orangey red.
I like it.
Not your famous Ferrari Rosso Corsa. No. It's called Rosso Dino, which was actually the colour of the Dino of the 60s.
Yeah, right.
It's the launch colour. And that was always like the baby Ferrari, the entry six-cylinder Ferrari.
Yes.
Didn't even have a Ferrari badge. And I kind of said, like, wait a second, they're making a new entry 830 horsepower, but you know what I mean. V6 Ferrari. I was like, well, let's do a throwback to the 60s.
Yeah, exactly.
60, you know. The numbers carry over.
Yeah.
Always a connection. This isn't mine. This belongs to Bussink. They take the AMG GT, which is a platform I love. We'll get to the Black Series in a moment, and basically chop the roof off. So it's got a halo up on the top, basically like a Formula One car.
Yeah.
They made 8 of them, I believe, in total. That are around the world. I've actually driven 3 of them.
Right.
Which is kind of funny out of the 8 in different places. This is the car that does the most mileage.
I saw you in America with this.
It's been everywhere. Yeah. It's been to 32 states in the US.
Has it really?
It's been to Dubai and Abu Dhabi.
Right. Okay.
It's been to the Arctic Circle at the top of Sweden in winter. It's been to the Trans-Fagara-Shan Highway in Romania.
Okay.
It's been around.
Been everywhere, yeah.
It's been to the bottom of Italy. It's got nearly 40,000 miles on it. And I find it funny because probably the second highest UK one of these is probably 4,000 miles.
Right. Okay.
I'm doing my best, basically testing Mercedes.
Yeah.
See how they run.
So how does that differ then from a standard one? I mean,
so the Black Series was the ultimate. Black Series has always been the ultimate dynamic performance.
Yeah.
For the GT, unlike its predecessors, and I also have an SLS Black Series, which isn't here right now, it's at service. For this, they really went out and out for the Nürburgring lap time.
Right.
They set the Nürburgring lap record with it at the time, before they beat it themselves with the AMG 1.
Oh, okay.
But basically, it's a different engine to the standard car.
Yeah.
It's a flat plane. It's stock.
Still a twin turbo V8.
Yes,
then.
still a twin turbo V8.
Rear wheel drive.
Rear wheel drive.
Right, okay.
Stock is 730 horsepower.
Yeah.
This is slightly modified 850 on the dyno. So I have an 850 horsepower car that I drive a ton.
Yeah.
But what I love is this mix between being able to go to a racetrack, have a lot of fun.
Yeah.
This is driven at Yas Marina. It's driven at Circuit of the Americas. It's driven at Spa.
Right.
It's driven at the Nürburgring. It's done a lot of track days.
Yeah.
But equally, I can also stick 4 weeks of luggage in the back.
Yes.
And go on a road trip.
And
can I say the crucial thing in a world of supercars? It's a Mercedes.
Yes.
Like, firstly, it has better reliability than the supercar stuff anyway. And secondly, if something does go wrong, there are dealers everywhere.
Yes, exactly.
And that makes a massive difference.
That's
You
quite
don't think
comforting,
about it,
isn't it?
But
when you're miles from home.
go on a road trip in a McLaren, you might be 6 hours from the nearest dealer.
Exactly.
In America, you could even be 9-10 hours from the nearest dealer. And that's a problem.
Yeah.
Because if something goes wrong, there's not a whole lot you can do.
No.
You're waiting 2 days for a truck to get you and take it back again.
Yeah.
675 LT Spider I've had for 8 years now.
Okay.
Time is flying by.
Yeah.
We did a custom paint color on it. It's just shy of 20,000 miles.
I didn't even know that was an 8-year-old car, to be honest.
No, it's crazy. It doesn't look like it, does it? And it's still insanely fast.
Yeah.
No, it's really, for me, I'm going to say the best car that I think modern McLaren have made.
Oh, really? Okay.
You know, let's not include the F1 because that's not fair.
Yeah.
But modern McLaren, they really dialed this in. Obviously, the 12C evolved to the 650'S.
Yes.
And then into this.
Yeah.
And it's just the whole package.
Yeah.
It's just a really, really well set car. And surprisingly, given the reputation of McLarens from the earlier years, these are good. These are really good. They have very few problems.
Okay.
Which is, as an owner, what you want, right?
Yeah, exactly.
When you buy a car like this and you have to take it to a dealer every 2 weeks, you're like,
yeah,
come
I know.
on.
It takes the fun out of it, doesn't it?
Yes,
Yeah.
it's stressful. It's stressful. Then there are some pieces here of my Porsche 914.
Oh,
did you guys see that?
I've headed
some underground.
No, I didn't see that. No,
I have a 914, which
I did see it.
to quote the Yorkshire Car Restoration guys, it's a financial disaster.
Right. Okay.
Because the car was cheap, luckily, and I will say I had their blessing to buy it.
Okay.
They did say, yeah, get that one.
I didn't know that was yours. I saw it on their rig thing.
Did you sign it?
No, I didn't.
No, but it was there and everyone was signing it. So that's currently having all of the rusty, patchy bodywork fixed.
Okay.
And then we'll get the interior
Why the 914? Why did you choose one of those?
Just a little bit different. So you'll notice there are no other Porsches here.
Yeah.
So my partner, she's always been into the 914. She just likes them for her reason. She likes 964s a lot. They're a different price category.
Yes.
Always been into 914. So I was kind of like one day just...
The 914 is quite unusual as well, isn't it? Yeah.
So I like quirky different things. Like I like unusual cars.
Yeah.
And it's also, let's say, a test bed to be able to make your own car. So obviously we're going to change the colour, make it a unique interior.
Okay.
Without feeling too much like you're destroying something.
Yeah, I know what
you know. So buying almost like getting a car that's in a bad shape is perfect because we're not taking a good one and messing it up.
Yeah.
We're saving a car that should probably have been scrapped. So if you can save it, it's actually quite cool to keep the car on the road.
Yeah.
And it's been quite fun, you know, that moment of starting it up for the first time when it hasn't been run for goodness knows how long was super cool.
It's a satisfying thing, though, isn't it?
So we have this laid out as a reminder that it will be back. It will be back.
We'll take pride of place one of these days.
These are all the cars I've ever owned.
Oh, okay.
Basically, I've got a model of pretty much everything.
Yeah.
That kind of stuff, right?
Yeah,
like I was saying,
I know.
It's fun to have it all out.
Well, all in one place as well.
Yeah. You don't see it, but the amount of time I spent planning like the kitchen and toilets and stuff back here.
Yeah. No.
I spent so many days on floor plans and designs.
I get that.
And then we call this the Halo Bay, where I have number plates for basically I've got the plate for every car I've ever owned.
Right, okay.
Kept every one.
Yeah.
And then this, which is kind of cool, FW19, 1997, Jacques Villeneuve's championship winning year.
Okay.
It's a show car, but it features parts from race cars, so it's a real carbon tub.
Right.
It's real suspension, wheels, tyres, etc., but kind of from slightly different years put together.
Yeah.
But that was the last year.
And how did this happen?
Yeah, a funny story. It was actually a racing simulator, and I got an offer of kind of at a good value of take it or leave it. It was kind of like, well, it's fun, I'll take it, and then discovered what it was.
Okay.
So it's actually quite a lot more special than I thought it was. But we had it repainted back to the iconic livery from the time. I think like every collection needs a race car of sorts for show, because you can just sit in here and make noises.
Yes.
But it's cool, right? Because it's like it's not a real steering wheel, but it's a real dashboard. I've actually, because it was spotted in the background of one of my videos, I've had a call since with Jacques Villeneuve.
Oh, really?
Which for me was like, I like this giddy schoolgirl. Yeah. You know? Oh my God, I'm on the phone with Jack talking about this car.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Formula One has obviously grown a lot in recent years.
Yeah.
But my first memories, I was 10 when this was racing, right? Yeah. My first memories were this kind of car go around at the time and watching that year. I mean, for sure, I was watching some of the races that year with my dad. So to be lucky enough to have this in the garage is really, that's incredible. Really cool.
It's amazing to think how far they've come, really.
Yeah, because this is relatively simple compared to the modern stuff, right? Teardrop style hub, a few suspension.
So look at this. You'd think it was something from the 70s or something. Do you know what I mean? It's
late 90s.
Yeah.
It was a fun project because we didn't know what it was necessarily at first, and eventually when we'd stripped it down, we found the chassis plaque underneath the seat.
Right. Okay.
So it was like, oh, it's number one.
Yeah.
It's show car number one from that year, because back then they didn't make tons of show cars.
No.
Now every year they make loads.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of them out there, but back then there were only like 3 or 4 each season. So it's quite a cool thing.
That was a good find then, wasn't it?
Yeah. People always say I should put an engine in it, and I'm like, no, it's not built for that. Like it doesn't have the.
No.
You'd basically be building a new car at that point.
Yeah.
So that's just a really cool thing to look at.
Yeah.
From the lounge, look through the glass and see it sitting there in the box, ready to burst out, drive at the racetrack.
Exactly. Just as an ornament in this place, it's worthwhile.
Yeah, and then I've got the whole lounge space with a ton of memorabilia and different things.
I noticed that when I walked in,
Yeah, everything.
No, it's an incredible space, this.
I mean, the nickname, the Shmuseum, obviously Shmee Museum kind of combination, actually came from viewers back at the time, before I had this place. That was I remember once in a video I kind of said, let me know if you have any ideas for what we should call it. And someone suggested that, and I was like, done.
There we go. It's
a private garage. It's it's my personal space, my filming space.
Yeah.
But it is kind of that, because you see in the videos, obviously, all of this memorabilia stuff that people have seen over the years.
Yeah.
You know, across the different platforms. I think my channels have done over 2 billion views now. So
really?
A lot of people have seen all this stuff.
Exactly.
At some point. This is one of my newest acquisitions.
Okay.
Little Fiat 500, but a kind of special Fiat 500.
Why is it special?
It's an Abarth Ferrari dealer edition.
Oh, is it? Okay.
So back in 2009, when Ferrari was part of Fiat, each Ferrari dealer got one of these to use as their courtesy car. So you drop off your 430 for a service, and they'd throw you in one of these.
Right, okay.
So they're actually numbered. There are 200 of them.
Yeah.
Out of those, 60-something are Abarths and 130-something are just the regular Fiat 500s.
Okay.
But it's a funny story, because earlier in the year, I was thinking that would be fun. So none of my Ferraris are Rosso Corsa. This is painted Rosso Corsa.
Right.
So it's like, if I'm ever going to get a Rosso Corsa car, it's quite fun that it's not a Ferrari. And earlier in the year, I found a really old advert online for this car.
Okay.
Right, for one of these. I'm going to guess it was from like 2012.
Right.
And I sent a message to my editor, Brad, saying, I wonder if we could ever track this down, blah, 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 it'll be too expensive, etc., etc. Would you believe it? 3 months later, that exact car comes up on collecting cards.
Oh, really?
The exact one.
Right, okay.
Number 200 of 200.
Right, okay.
The last one of them. And I was like, well, this is an omen, I've got to buy it. And somehow I managed to get it for 16 grand.
Okay.
And I say that because even recently, a regular Fiat 500 one, with double the mileage of this, went for 18.
Oh, really?
So like, this is worth...
Oh, that's a bargain then.
The high 20s. I think it's not worth 16.
No.
So I'm quite happy with that. So the wheels are off at Whoops Will Fix It, who do all my refurbs and stuff.
I had no idea about the story behind
I love that. I love that kind of thing, because I like a car with a story. You know, look, it's got Scuderia racing stripes on it.
Yes.
Like the 430 Scud. You know, it's just a little bit different. And similarly to the
that kind of stuff excites me more than just being able to go and buy a supercar. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure. Because it's about the story behind it, but also how unusual it is.
Exactly.
And, you know, like the others, I had an Abarth back at the time, back in 2012.
Right.
So same thing with the plate.
Yeah.
F14 because it's a Ferrari with a 1.4.
Right, okay. Yeah, no,
it's fun to drive though. Manual 5-speed. They made the Tributo Ferrari later, so a lot of people know the Tributo Ferraris.
Okay.
But that has paddles, the automated manual gearbox.
Yeah, no, you're better off with a manual line.
Yeah, this is so fun.
Yeah.
To drive down the country lanes we have here in England in one of these. Yeah. It's only 140 horsepower, but a 5-speed manual.
And you know, because they're so narrow, you save.
Oh yeah. A truck can come the other way and it's not a problem. Yeah. Trust me, a truck comes the other way and something like the SF90.
So what have we got over here then?
Yes, so come this way, past the games area, I guess.
Yeah.
Couple more of the Ferraris. Things move around, they're not always in one place. This is
That's a beautiful colour, that, isn't it?
Blue Electrico. It's a lovely paint colour.
Yeah.
This is the SF90 Stradale. This was the first new Ferrari I ever spec'd from factory myself.
Oh, was it really?
1,000 horsepower.
Right.
3 electric motors, twin turbo V8.
Okay.
It's ballistic.
Yeah, I can imagine.
It's so fast, and you drive it, and it's immense. I'm incredibly lucky because I'm soon to be taking delivery of the SF90XX, which is the limited edition special version.
Right.
So even more power, even more hardcore, even crazier.
Okay.
I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, I bet.
I've gone for a very Larry specification that at this point in time I've not yet revealed, so it's going to be quite bold.
Okay.
The newest Ferrari, and yes, I do like my Ferraris. I think at the moment Ferrari's portfolio is amazing because they have quite a big variety of cars: V12s, V8s, V6s, convertibles, coupes, front engine, mid engine, just different experiences to drive. And I really like the brand. I love going to Maranello. I think as a kid, you grow up like dreaming of a Ferrari.
You idolised,
Like it's. Don't get me wrong. I've been lucky to own McLarens, a Lambo, like lots of different brands. But there's something about Ferrari. There's something about that company, and being lucky now to live those experiences and share them through the videos. Because a big part of it for me is being able to take people along that journey, right? To be able to show the specking process. What's it like when you go to Maranello?
Yes, exactly.
Go to the atelier and get the opportunity to do this. So the Roma Spider arrived recently. I've only done a couple 100 miles in it so far.
Okay. And that's a V8, is it?
That's also a V8.
Okay.
Twin turbo V8, 3.9, but 620 horsepower convertible, front mid V8, right?
Yeah.
That's kind of the daily right now because it's the new toy.
That's beautiful.
The new one. Love driving
What about this then?
Puro Sangue.
Yeah.
This had a massive buzz around it because Ferrari have made an SUV. It's interesting because Ferrari are absolutely adamant that this is not an SUV.
Okay.
And it isn't. It's dynamically same weight distribution as an 812 or the new WTG engine is behind the front axle, 6.5 litre V12.
Is it a V12? I was just going to ask you the engine because I don't know anything about them, to be honest.
725 horsepower V12.
Right.
NA V12.
Is it really?
Turbos. In your 4-seat Ferrari. It is phenomenal.
Yeah.
It's exceptionally expensive, very hard to justify, but so lovely.
Yeah.
It's one of those. In any normal world, this doesn't make sense.
No.
Like, why would you spend? It's £400,000 worth of car on something like this. But if you're certainly lucky to be in that position to do so, that extra couple of % over anything else is just the icing on the cake. It's just the ultimate in. You drive it and it feels special. You know you're driving something there's no plastic buttons. There's no like Ura style borrowed stuff from the anti-parts bin or anything like that. It's just pure lovely. I don't know about a word. I've done about 5,000 miles in the last year with it. Which I know doesn't sound like a lot, but for a Ferrari it is a lot. You do have to have an eye in the back of your mind for what the residuals are going to be on these things. If I did 10,000 miles a year for 5 years, I'd have a car that's worth not a lot. So I had to be a little bit responsible with it. The only problem is...
And is it quite practical, genuinely?
I mean, it's...
Decent sized boot and back seats and everything?
It's not like normal SUV or wagon practical, but it is... usable. You know, I've had a decent amount of stuff in the back of here. We bought the 914 parts back in here.
Oh, did you?
So it can be used.
It can be used,
The only problem
What about
is
gearbox?
8-speed dual clutch.
Oh, okay.
Fast, shifts beautifully. Imagine downshifting that V12. Just blip.
I can imagine.
Perfection. The only problem with it is on a road trip, I had a puncture in a rear tyre, and they're 23-inch tyres.
Okay.
A new tyre costs more than that Clio. For a tyre. It's a problem.
Fair enough,
That is a problem. There is the Ferrari tax.
Yes.
That comes with that.
Yeah. And I imagine it isn't a tyre that you can get from your local Halford.
No, 23-inch Ferrari spec tyre is not easily... I mean, I have my own little stockpile of tyres going on at the moment. Because it's funny, we were actually just sorting that out. 5 different sets of winter tyres. Because obviously these days, weather is becoming more bizarre. And certainly for videos and trips, I want to make sure we can still do it. But it means constantly having stuff shopping around. The random Murcielago SV that's looking back here belongs to Richard from Challenge the Road. It's a right-hand drive, low mileage UK example. So this is a really, I guess, collector spec SV. He likes to drive his cars. He asked...
Manual?
No, there were very few manual.
Right.
So there are officially 350 of these. 5 of them are manual.
Oh, really? That rare?
Yeah. So one recently exchanged hands to Supercar Ron, a US collector and YouTuber. And I'm sure it was a pretty penny to acquire that
Have you ever owned one of these?
No, but my first ever YouTube video featured a Ferrari 458 Italia, also Corsa, and one of these in this colour. So Richard knew that story and he was like, would you like to do some video with it and have it there? And I was like, yes, I'll store that as long as you want. I would love to see that here.
That's cool.
So that just chills out on the tyre cushions, looking very pretty. Adding a flash of orange to the garage. I would love one, but I mean, something like this in this condition is high six figures, I'm sure.
Yeah,
So
I'm sure. Those tyre cushions you just mentioned, they stop you getting flat spots on the tyres?
Yes, and it is a thing, because my F1 show car has flat spots on the F1 tyres, which is a problem.
Right, okay.
But it genuinely makes a huge difference. So obviously with my cars, like I mentioned, they all go out very often.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of rotation, so they're moving around constantly.
Yeah.
But if I have a visitor car here, obviously I'm not going to move it for no reason.
No.
So it could sit completely still for 3, 4, 5 months.
Yes, yeah.
And that, on these kind of tyres, firstly, they're hard to get for an older car like this.
Yeah.
And they're very expensive as well.
Yeah.
So you want to protect these. It makes a difference.
Sense. Yeah.
It stops them going old and having issues. You know, the basketball hoops, the arcade machines, the electric bike and scooter, and just you accumulate things. When you've got the space,
exactly,
you start browsing Facebook Marketplace, and you're like, oh, I'll have that. What about that? But you know, we're missing a few cars, like I mentioned. The SLS is at service. My Ford GT, which I would say is probably the most iconic car of my collection, the most well known. 6 years old, is currently in the US. Took it out for a couple of events this year. So that's over there. I also have a new Mustang Dark Horse in the US. So had it for a year and somehow already done 13,000 miles in a car that I only own on a different continent, which I have no idea, but that's clearly a lot of time driving. Obviously the 914 is off. I hope I haven't missed anything.
A bit of an obvious question then, and you probably ask this all the time, but do you have any favourites or not?
The one car that I would never sell, that I'd like to own the whole of my life, is my Ford GT.
I thought you were going to say the Aston. Is it the Ford GT?
I'll never sell the Aston, for sure. So I do have a list. I have a priority list of like which I'm least protective about. You know, if you did that cliche, buildings burning down, you've got time to grab one key, which is going to be Ford GT.
Right. Okay.
Because irreplaceable. It's not like there's another one. Mine is a one of one in its specification. It was the first car that left the factory with custom painted stripes. Red over gold with gold stripes. I've done so much with it, and it's been such a big part of my channel. You know, it's Ford took a big chance offering me an allocation. Back at the time, it was very competitive. There were lots of news stories about all of this, and they made you fill out a form and shoot a video and apply for it. And they chose my application because of the video that I'd submitted. Back then, not many people did make a video. You know, this is first round, 2016. For the later rounds, more people did. But obviously, video was kind of my thing, so I was gonna give it a go. And I've been very lucky along the way to meet a lot of the Ford family, people who are very senior at the company. I actually have a painting in my office that was done for me.
Look at
That was painted by the designer of the car,
was it really?
and he very kindly did that, and he presented it to me when I was in Detroit, and that was really like that kind of moment of like, wow. Like, not only have I been lucky enough to get an allocation, lucky enough to be in a position to buy it and actually drive it and use it, but the designer of the car has done me a painting. And
that's incredible.
Even cooler than that, his son, who at the time I think was 10 or 11 years old, had also done a drawing of my car.
Really?
So I have a drawing of my car from the son of the designer of the GT, which is so cool. They were really nice. It's those kind of things that connect you, I think, more to a car and a brand than
I agree.
Anybody can walk into a showroom and just buy a car, right? Relative. If you've got the funds, if you're in the position to do so, it's not like...
It doesn't make it special, does it?
Yes. So to have done that whole journey, you know, at the time I was doing things like hosting different things at Ford's Young Driver programs. I was obviously going to a lot of different events, being part of the whole thing, and I still do so much with Ford. You know, I've got 5 or 6 currently, and a couple more coming. So I really like Ford as a brand, because I like that they offer everything from your, you know, everyday hatch to your pickup truck in the US, to a transit van. We have an MSRT Transit Custom. Should have mentioned that. All the way up to your Focus RS, your Mustangs, you know, the history as well, the GT40s, the 60s Mustangs, everything. To the Ford GT and the new GTD. So I love that the brand has that whole variety. So the Ford GT really, I think, represents all of that for me in like one car.
I get that.
You know, don't get me wrong, when like the SF90 XX arrives, which is my first ever limited series Ferrari, that's pretty special. Like, never did I think I might one day get a numbered limited Ferrari car in the collection. So that's also, you know, an absolute dream. But then equally the 675 LT, which is the car I've owned for the longest. Every time I take that out, I'm like, this is me in a car. I went for a drive the other day, and 100 miles later came back. It's like, okay, 3 hours just driving it, because, you know, don't get me wrong, stuff like the SF90 is faster than either. The Zenvo is more expensive than either. That's at its second-year service at the factory in Denmark at the moment. They can technically come here and service it, but I had it out for an event in Italy.
So
sounds silly, but it's
Yeah.
easier to just send it back while it's in Europe and then bring it here because all the technicians have all the right tools and everything. And it's also wintertime, so it's kind of like if it sits there for a week, couple of weeks, it's not a problem to me.
What's kind of blown my mind about this whole thing is the level of organisation that goes into it. Really, it's not just a random thing. This is it. It can't be, can it?
I think that. Obviously, speaking as a content creator here, and you know the drill, obviously you're planning your videos, your timeline, your schedule, and then you're trying to mix everything else around that. So certainly with cars and movements and travel schedules, we have to make sure it all links together. So if I know I'm going to go and do a road trip in a car in a couple of weeks, I need to make sure that car's ready and done and everything's good with it. I should mention at the moment my Lotus Emira is not here. We're doing a giveaway with BOTB and it's about to go to a new owner, but it's out just to get some PPF replaced because there's one bit that needs a little fix. And it's a silly thing, but when the car goes to its new owner, I'm not going to be here. So I need to make sure everything's done while I am here so that it can, from my side, I'm just going to leave it here with the keys and that's it. But by the time I come back, it's gone.
Yes, I understand.
So there's a lot of like preparing that, and we kind of do this as a team. Obviously, got a couple of people involved to help make sure everything moves along.
Absolutely.
Even things like we have a merchandise room back here with all that kind of stuff, obviously, that gets dispatched. There's a massive storage room because every one of these cars needs a shelf with all of its stuff.
Right, okay.
Every car has, especially if you've modified it, I think my SLS has about 3 shelves of stuff.
Right, okay.
Just because of interior things that have come out. And then every other car that comes with a car cover or something like that. Because if you do sell it, you need all the right stuff back with it. And it's one of the things, for collectible cars especially, their original belongings just get lost along the way.
I understand.
But it's really cool when you buy a car and it's got that original set with
Whether
it.
It's a luggage set or something like that.
Yeah, so when I sold my McLaren Senna recently, I sold it with the original luggage set, with the original numbered book. They gave you a book about Ayrton Senna that was numbered to your car. Like, all of that stuff. I hope the person appreciates it, because I would love to have kept it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I know.
Yeah. But, no, it's a cool space.
No, well
There's
done
a lot
with
going
it.
on.
Yeah, well done with it. It is an incredible space.
Thank you.
Well, I think that's about it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't already. You can follow us on Instagram. No, try that again. You can follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. I'll leave the links below. And yeah, I'll see you next time.